Hello folks, this is Comrade Cav reporting for Truly Brooklyn. Today we're in Greenpoint. We're at the New Apostle Gallery and we're here to meet David Hollier, who is a proponent of Imagio Verbosa, which literally means drawing with words. Hello Truly Brooklynites. We are here on a somewhat sunny September afternoon in Greenpoint at the New Apostle Gallery with Dave Hollier.
Hello.
My mate Dave. Good geezer, great art, and I'm here to talk to him. Because you can see, if you go around Brooklyn, you can see his artwork everywhere, all over the walls. You know what I mean? He's internationally known. And I'd like to know, Dave, what brought you from the West Midlands to Brooklyn?
I think looking back of it, I mean, I came out to New York with no real intention of staying. You know what I mean? But sort of, I've been here ever since. I don't know where your own sort of story might be similar, but I came out. You know, it was, I think, to be honest, living in Hong Kong actually was like, I don't know whether I would have been here if I hadn't have done that. You know, that was my first big kind of cultural shock. And it was a lot bigger than the States, for sure. But that kind of led into, you know, I mean, I went out there sort of travelling. I travelled around China and Vietnam some. But that kind of led the kind of foreground for kind of, you know, experiencing other cultures.
Okay.
And then I was sick of London. I had friends who lived here. I'd found in London, I'd found a gallery to represent me. So I was like, you know, job's done. I'm moving on to the next big city. So I came out here and that was it really. I've been here ever since.
Okay. And when you first came here, did you come straight to Brooklyn?
Yeah, I did.
You
I
did?
did. I started in right near this neighbourhood in Williamsburg. I actually stayed for 1 week at a friend's house in the East Village, and then for the rest of the time, for like 20 years in Brooklyn. Started in Williamsburg, got pushed out east towards Bushwick. Was in Bushwick 15 years. Of last year moved to Washington Heights in Manhattan. So I've just escaped the slippery slopes of Brooklyn.
I'm still sticking to them, man.
Yeah, right,
you know what I mean?
like,
yeah, it's like a Venus flytrap.
Right.
You know, a beautiful one. A beautiful one.
Well, yeah. Why? Yeah. Well, where else? Why? It's got everything you need.
Yeah.
Why else go anywhere else?
Exactly.
Although that was one thing actually.
We haven't got Dave Hollier anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Come on, man.
I'm back all the time.
Come on, man.
You know, I'm back all the time. That's I was kind of looking forward in a way. I've been in Bushwick 15 years, and I was done with it. You know what I mean? I was ready to get out. But as soon as I moved, it was like it made me realise where my peeps were. You know what I mean? And really, you know what I mean? So I'm back here all the time.
It feels like coming home when you come over here.
It really is.
Because it really is.
Yeah, right. All the people are here, man.
All right, so you're very well known internationally for the Imagio Verbosa style art, which is making a picture out of words.
Right. That's a kind of name I came up with. It's Latin for a picture made of words, basically, and that's basically what it is.
You do other things. How did that come about? I mean, it's quite unique.
Right, sure. There are other people kind of out there doing it. I think they just copied me. Well, I don't think
I'm starting next week.
Yeah, well, it's easy. I'll show you how to do it. I started actually. I mean, it wasn't kind of a a specific kind of, thought out plan. It just sort of happened. I was kind of, I come from stencil background, so there was kind of this sort of already this sort of pop art kind of stencil image.
Yes.
I then started creating those actually in lines, creating kind of like the image is made up of lines, and where the image is darker, the line's thicker. Originally they were vertical, and then at some point I just kind of thought, oh, I could put words along these lines, and I started originally with just repeating the same word over and over again, and then that kind of developed into sort of what it is now, which is then sort of like, matching, an image that then relates to a body of text, and the two kind of relate to them. So whether it's a song, a picture of a musician with one of their songs, or alternatively a kind of politician with their speech or anything like that.
Yeah. There's definitely the sort of pop cultural element to it, but there's also the socio-political element to it. I mean, is that where your heart lies?
It was weird. It was weird, kind of, how that developed. And the initial concept, right, was kind of, as I said, it was the text related to the image, right, and that was an important. So it was kind of the original sort of. It started out as what's important pieces in text with iconic images. You know what I mean? And that was both kind of just iconic or personal, and like so. The first ones that I did though, are all the great, like, sort of Nelson Mandela. With any of his speech, Martin Luther King with any of his speeches. You know what I mean? You've immediately got that iconic image with an iconic piece of text. And that's kind of, it wasn't, I didn't necessarily intend to do it. It was just the idea of kind of iconic text. You know what I mean? And that's where
that was with a powerful,
with a
powerful
words and powerful images.
Yeah. Definitely, man. I mean, I keep going back to the Nelson Mandela one in Bushwick all the time. I've taken like maybe half a dozen pictures of it from different angles. You know what I mean?
It works great. Yeah. It really is.
And the symbiosis between that image and White Castle is always fascinating too.
Right, really. I was so pleased with that that mural. It was one of the first kind of big pieces that I did, and how it started about is my studio, or I had a studio right round the corner from there. So every day I'd walk past that wall, and I was just like, I've got such a brilliant wall.
How did you talk them into doing it?
I just sort of like the owner of the building. I remember one time he was outside washing his car. And I thought, he lives there. I went over and I said, that's a great wall. And he was like, oh God,
here we go again.
So many people ask. And he kind of, what he sort of like said, he said, I have loads of people like from Billboard coming and saying that sort of, they could offering me money to put a billboard up there. But the wife and I don't want it. We don't sort of, but every time I saw him, I'd go and engage, and I showed him the picture of the Nelson Mandela. His name's Elvis, by the way. So straight away, I was like, "You want Elvis?" He's like, nah. My parents called me that. That's not my fault. But then I showed him the picture of the Nelson Mandela, and he was like, "That's cool." And then it was a kind of, after, and then the thing that clicked, he was like, let me talk to my wife.
Oh, he's taking a step.
As soon as
he's taking a real step.
I was like, whoa.
That's commitment.
Right? And sort of she liked it, and it took a little while, and then when they were on board, they sort of, they were cool with it. I did some little pictures for their kids. They were like, do some little pictures for their kids. So I did some, and I had to get permission from White Castle. Because I painted, I was on their property to do the piece, and they were cool with it. They were super cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it went really well.
So I mean, why is street art important to you? It seems to be important to you. You spend a lot of time doing it.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a great way. There's numerous reasons. I mean, certainly, you know, when the whole street art thing is an important movement. You know what I mean? When there's on one hand, you know, when Banksy started, I was living in London when Banksy started doing his stuff, so that immediately did influence me. I mean, that's what got me into doing stencils. You know, as soon as I saw some Banksy stuff, and I was in East London, so it was right there when he first started. Me and my buddy went out and started doing our own in a bad effort, but secondly, so there's that element, but secondly, my degree in Newcastle was public art. It was like public art based degree. So there wasn't even such thing as street art back then. It was either public art or graffiti. You know what I mean? And sort of, I did my degree. I didn't want to do a straight fine art degree. I kind of wanted to do something that was more sort of like public related, more sort of less basically, more sort of art for people rather than art for art's sake. So it was, you know, when I came out of college, I was doing quite a lot of big scale work, and I liked doing it. You know what I mean? The challenge of doing big scale work is really really addictive, I guess. You know, so sort of any opportunity to do big stuff, you know, I jumped to the chance. Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Are you still as enthusiastic about it now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get them done. It's surprisingly difficult to actually organise and get a wall painted. It really is. You know, but
what's the most difficult thing about it?
Getting the person who owns the wall to let you do it, and that sounds so easy, but half the time it's not even the person who owns the wall. You know what I mean? Who's saying you can do it, and then you end up finding out that he's not, or he or she ain't the person who owns the wall, and you know, it's weird how difficult it is to orchestrate such a thing without obviously doing it just on the road. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is it's even that's tricky, but it's a lot easier than doing it kind of legally. You know, and so it's you know, I do them as much as I can. I do some commission stuff, some sort of paid stuff, but really it's just about the opportunity to paint a big wall.
Yeah, I hear that. And you're obviously like seeking other opportunities and fresh walls, because we're at the New Apostle Gallery right now, which represents your work. And what we saw earlier on was a show being set up.
Yep, we're doing a group show.
And you're curating the show? It's
my gallery. I set up this gallery about 7 years ago. It's not a storefront space. It's just a website. But I originally set it up so that I, as an artist, could do art fairs. So I just started doing art fairs with my own work, you know, represented by a gallery. So, you know, it was almost accidental, you know what I mean, or incidental. But then I just started doing it for art fairs, and in the last few years I thought sort of what a great empowering kind of tool having a gallery is. So I've kind of expanded it into a sort of proper representation gallery. We've got about 7 artists that we represent, including myself. And then we do art fairs, and then this today is our first kind of official group show, pop-up show. So that's kind of where I want to go with the gallery, start doing do art fairs still, but do little pop-up shows.
Okay. And how did you go about choosing the artists within the show today?
We sort of I put an advert, you know, I put a call for artists in various different kind of advertising, you know, various different things. Just on Instagram, calling out sort of call for artists on there, asking around artists that I knew. I've got two co-curators, Barry Schlosser and Rob. Oh God, I'm forgetting his name, but Outlaw Art. So they brought some artists in as well. You know, so they're all pretty much. It's also got the gallery's represented artists involved. So we've got about 60 artists.
Okay.
And mainly New York-based artists.
Okay. And if people want to get in contact with you or the gallery, how should they do that?
They can. All the information's on the website. It's newapostlegallery.com. You know, the email is or the Instagram at New Apostle Gallery. You know, either of those ways, there's you can get in touch with us through that.
Okay. So, how is the whole gallery business in the face of the corona?
I mean, who knows? It's not good. Not good. It really isn't. I mean, it's a strange one with this. You know, in one way, you could say it's good because it's a whole new beginning. You know what I mean? It really does. I was planning on kind of moving this way forwards with the gallery anyway, but in a way this has been a real incentive to kind of dig in and get out there. You know, I feel at the moment there's a lot of people who have just, certainly in New York, that have just folded and gone, you know what I mean? And I understand it, you know what I mean? However, in a way, and certainly with a place like New York, that gives a space
room for
people
something else to grow.
People come in, and it's happening.
New York is not dead, people.
Right, no.
New York is not dead.
Never. I mean, it's sort of, it's dead to the people who've left, for sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Unless they come
and it might
back.
Not even be dead to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Really.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
the thing I think about New York and why is you have to kind of live here to understand it. You know what I mean? Because it's changing all the time. So if you leave, it's no longer the New York you know. You know what I mean? It quickly becomes a New York. So you've got to be involved to understand what's going on, and that's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's a transitional city, man. It really is.
Right. It's great for that, and that's so that's kind of the incentive to push forward with the gallery. You know, what's definitely happening, what's been in the art world, the art fairs have been a huge kind of incentive in the art world. It really has been a big phenomenon, you know, the what's going on in the art fairs. But generally that's been kind of starting to get too big, it seems, over the last few years. But what's happened this year really looks as if that's going to change the dimension of the whole art fair sort of thing. You know what I mean?
In what way? Like make it more of a
there's not going to
varied,
be
smaller.
Well, exactly. There's not going to be as many. You know, we've got to a point where there's so many art fairs. They're on. I mean, they are still going to always be important, but you can't. I mean, they're all cancelled this year. You know what I mean? And who knows what's going to happen next year?
Yeah.
So already, I think we sort of like the little pop-up and kind of the smaller galleries, and also, I mean, obviously online is a huge area. Yeah. But that doesn't mean to say that the sort of the tactile of actually experiencing artwork, you know, physically, you know, that's still an essential kind of part of the whole kind of process, I think, or a very important part. Yeah. That's still going to remain. I think it's just going to become smaller and more kind of dynamic in a way, you know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's exciting. That's, you know, I'm glad that it's the right opportunity to start being kind of a voice father.
That was basically the answer to the next question I was about to ask you, which was,
I knew that.
Which was, you're a prophet, my friend. Which was like, how do you see the future developing? And that's how you see it.
Right.
Dave, thank you very much, brother.
No worries.
It was great to talk to you. It was a lovely convo, mate.
Indeedy.
Folks, truly Bklyn, bringing it to you again. Dave Hollier, master of Imagio Verbosa. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And me, Comrade Cav, wishing you a fair adieu. Adieu.
The dawn is nice, it's nice. He said he's getting that crack.